Oh my God. Welcome to the medical equipment world and healthcare. Get the scoop. The podcast where we break down durable medical equipment, patient care, and real world solutions for caregivers, families, and healthcare professionals. I am your host, Tara, and it's Silas today. I am your certified medical equipment specialist, founder of CFS Medical Supplies and Equipment and CFS Solutions. Whether you're new to DME or a seasoned provider, this show is here to give you insight, tools, and stories that matter. So I'm going to read a disclaimer today. It says the information shared in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not intended as medical advice. Always consult with a qualified healthcare professional regarding any medical decisions or concerns. Neither the host nor guest assume liability for actions taken based on content discussed in this episode. So today we are so excited to have the wonderful Mr. Giancarlo. And his last name, I'm going to try and not mess his last name up, you guys, but it's Paolillo.
I'm going to take it.
Oh, here we go.
Wi-Fi is out. You just got to roll with it, man.
Oh, my gosh, John. Hey, you know what, John? I thank you for being with us today because you are so busy. I know your schedule is very tight. And we're appreciative that you taking the time out your busy day to spend with the medical equipment world, healthcare, and get the scoop.
I have to tell you, I've met some of the coolest people in doing these podcasts, and there's a couple of ladies that we keep in contact with on a weekly basis. You just find really cool people who are interested in changing the world. So as far as I'm concerned, yeah, I'm in.
Oh my gosh, yes. So we're all in. We love it. It's like people say, "Oh my God, where do you find the time to do all this stuff?" I said, "You know what? When you love what you do, it's easy."
Yep. You're not working. Yep.
That's right. That's right. It comes easy. And so, John.
Yeah, that works. That works too.
I am going to read off your bio and just kind of read some information here about you. As a primary caregiver for his mother, who lived 1 hour away from in his hometown in New Jersey. Watch our own founder, John, oversaw coordination of her care, keeping family up to date, helping to raise 3 young children and waking up to 60 hours a week. It's a lot. Mm-hmm. It's crazy, stressful, keeping all of the balls in the air while ensuring that you're present for a loved one. And it's a familiar scenario millions of Americans experience and live daily. As his mother's health began to decline further, he needed to spend more time with her, assisting and managing her daily schedule, medications, and more. At the time, there were some apps to help caregivers, but you needed to download 3 separate apps just to manage care for one person. As an experienced developer building complete solutions for some of the country's top corporations, as well as for the first responders, John knew there had to be an easier way to help caregivers manage it all and to better support their loved ones. A few years later, in 2019, John set out to do just that. With a team of experienced developers and advisors, he launched Watch Our Own in 2020. The Watch Our Own app is the first all-in-one caregiving coordination app available. It includes the company's patent custom-built event engine, which can immediately notify all caregivers for all medical incident and provide the option to connect directly to local EMS. John, wow. That's awesome.
Thanks, Tim.
Caregivers, you know, the thing of
it's amazing.
It's amazing. One of the things that I always see and I always tell people, like, when you think about the patient, you must think about the caregiver. And sometimes people tend to forget that when they're deciding different devices or equipment. Even we see that in our industry sometimes, in our side of things that, when we have conversations with families, sometimes it's like, let's talk about the caregiver too. Right?
We're the secondhand smoke. In other words, we're the ones that people don't realize that caregivers right now are becoming the number one stressed out and affected people in the country. There's 1 out of 5 people are caregivers.
Yeah.
And with that huge trend, and it's getting worse.
Yeah.
And with that, it's not just the strain on the work and taking care of the loved one with all your other duties that seem like it happened overnight.
Mm-hmm.
You have the fact that now it's emotional stress. You realize like nobody's helping, and
Yeah.
all these people you're supposed to be helping not there anymore. And they expect you to go and do everything. And this primarily happens to women, but it happened to me and my family, and that's when I realized like this has been going on forever. People are just not hearing enough about it. One of my closest friends just lost his dad. The same thing. And I was up at his house trying to get the house ready for sale. And it's one of those things that everybody I know is either one now or has become has been a caregiver in the past.
It's so funny you talk about that, and my condolences to your friend and to losing a father. It's never easy, losing a loved one. And I was just telling someone earlier today, I was telling them like if you've never, you're either gonna, it's gonna be options here. You're either gonna be a caregiver, you
Hmm.
either been a caregiver, you will be a caregiver, or you will be a patient.
Yeah,
But one of the things is gonna happen.
yeah.
I mean, I mean, it will be rare for me to someone to tell me like, oh, I've never been a patient, because you could be a patient, and when I say a patient, it could be in different aspects of being a patient, right? You don't have to
Yeah.
be bedridden and things of that nature, but you
No,
just
no,
may need
no.
someone to just wait on you, as you could have a fractured ankle or something, and you are considered a patient because
Right,
someone needs to wait
It could
on
right.
be anything.
you.
And,
Yeah.
and we quote Russell Calder on the site just for that very reason. She literally said that somebody you become one, you will be a
Yes.
caregiver, and it's
Mhm.
just a fact. And it's by the way, as the gentleman I was talking to today, it's not a U.S. problem. It's a global issue.
It's a global issue.
So it's we can keep but nobody's ignoring it anymore. It's finally making headway. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
affecting everybody. I don't care what age you are either. You have people as young as, Silas, he's young, but he's somewhat, I would say, a caregiver of to my mother-in-law to a point almost. My husband's no longer with us, and he would be the primary caretaker for her, and that has, either me or Silas would be
It's
the
gonna
ones
happen.
to take over.
Yeah, that's
And of
true.
course, because biologic, Silas would be her, would be the one that would be responsible, because I'm not responsible as far as when it comes to, like legally, if that makes sense, right?
Right, right, right,
So as
right, right.
young as he is, he would be having the one to make the decisions that she's put in charge
Correct.
to do that
You
for
will
her.
be the primary caregiver, and you can
Right.
still be like a secondary caregiver. Or you can
Yes.
be a connection that he can request for assistance or
Hmm.
delegate some tasks to for so he can breathe a little bit.
Yeah.
But he's going to bear that burden.
Yeah. At 25.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes, yes, yes. So there's no, and of course I'm right here to help along the way. Yeah, you just never know. You never
yeah.
know. All right, so we're gonna ask you some questions, John.
Shoot. Hopefully, I can answer them.
Yes, you can. You're good. You're good at this. And so, well, first of all, can you share? Well, we kind of went over your kind of did a background outline for you, but why don't you share with us the background and caregiving background and balancing your mother's care career in your family life?
Yeah, sure. I was, as you mentioned before, I was living in New Jersey. I was working in New York as a CTO.
Mhm.
So it's a 2 hour commute there, 2 hour commute back, hence the 60 hour plus hours when you're doing this kind of work. And it's a pretty fast environment. It's bad enough when you have two boys and a little girl that's just born. Two boys now 30, 26, and she's 11. But back then, you're dealing with the medicines, you're dealing with everything else, and here comes my mom and she gets sick. Uh, that job is no longer something that you care about, and when you have to make a choice. So
Right.
it's pretty much leave the job, take other jobs, doing startup work, running around with a laptop while you're taking through all the medical tests and exams and everything else that you would trying to convince her to follow through and do all the steps. And it was all the way through that, through multiple strokes, finally
Mhm.
through hospice where you're just sitting there. She didn't speak English, so I had to translate pretty much everything for her, even though I wasn't sure half the time she could even understood me. So it's a lot of frustration and not being able to communicate with somebody that you love
Yeah.
and dealing with your family life or even being able to just coordinate anything at all. So my poor wife is trying to help doing things, and you're running around like a headless chicken. It's a phrase we use in a lot of South American countries. But that stress was real, and it was funny, like you mentioned before, the impact to the caregiver. I'm a gym rat. You stop working out. I like going out with my family. You stop doing that too. And all the things that you take for granted,
Yeah.
that's it's no longer available. There's no time. And when as the disease progresses, and it happens to everybody because nobody gets out of this game alive, right? So when that happens, then you eventually realize that your hours are wake up, run, you're done, shower, go to bed, wake up, hit it again, and this is your routine until something else changes.
Yeah, it is definitely it's a journey.
Yeah,
It's a journey. And the thing of it is that what I love what we do, call us a community, right? Because what we try to do is share information and resources that can help people in any aspect, right? Like this app you created, my God, like I think this is a genius.
It's a massive resource.
Yeah, it's a massive resource, and
Yes.
so many different aspects of that. We had a lady come in today, and she was like, "Oh my God," she was looking more pyrrhic, but she was so stressed out.
yeah,
She says, "I had to quit my job because she had
yep,
a caretaker, but she says the caretaker wasn't doing anything but sitting around." So
mhm,
she said, "I
yep.
literally quit my job." See, I'm like, "What?" So yeah,
I'm
she told
laughing.
me. She told
It
me. Yeah.
I cannot agree with you more, Tara. One of my dearest friends is I've known this gentleman for 35 years. He
Hmm.
just quit the job that he had in Rutgers that he's been there for over 20 years. Right, he earned that spot. He worked his tail off for it. But his mom really got sick, and then the person who they were paying was just not doing the job. Was coming in with somebody with dementia, very late stage dementia, well, with the kids, just driving her even more nuts. So he just literally retired early, and now he's taking care of her.
Yeah,
He
that's what.
figured he's going to live his life without regrets. That means taking care of his mom, and the
Yeah.
rest is going to have to fall where it falls.
Yeah, yeah, and that's exactly what happens too. And she was like,
Hmm.
"I just quit my job and because I have to take care of my mom." And I was like, "Yeah, you know
Yeah,
what
God
do
bless
you do?"
her. She did the right thing. She did
Yeah,
with the only things available. The sad part is that this is a big impact right now. It's not just for the caregiver, it's also for the companies that these people have to leave, which I was not aware of. Employee benefit programs still pay you $1,000 a year for you to join the gym for your health, but nobody gives you anything at all, a tool or anything to help you take care of your regular life so you can be focused at the job. Well, we're forced to leave. When we leave, there's a 17 to $33 billion deficit to these companies. Like in my case, I left. I left the CTO role in New York. I built a team that when I left, they're looking around going, well, Giancarlo's not going to be here. There's no longer fun. And they leave, and that impact to these corp it's literally the trickle effect, and it's impacting everything now. But yeah, it's an issue. Insurance companies are saying that the caregivers and the impact on their health is going to affect them financially.
yeah,
Yeah, not doing anything to try to supplement them with any kind of tools. So it's one of those things where Medicaid might give you $800 if you fit the budget to
hmm,
for if you have a caregiver, but they don't give you a tool for the family to be able to say, well, that's fine, but we want to set up all these other tasks and we want to be able to delegate it, and people can actually breathe a little bit and know that things are under control, real-time updates, and do something like that. That's the part that's that acceptance model that people are starting to wake up, and it's taken a long time to really get there. I mean, you obviously know it, so does Silas, but the rest of the world, it's almost like the insignificant other that we call in psychology because it's not happening to me, so I'm not worried about it. I literally had a gentleman on a phone say to me on one of these calls, and he's going, well, it's funny, here in Canada, we don't have that problem. Like, really, you don't have the problem in Canada? I'm like, you don't know anybody that's taking care of anybody. He goes, well, wait a minute, my mom's taking care of her sister. Well, there you go. She's a
well, there you
caregiver.
go.
But you're not affected with it because you're not actually working with your mom. How many times have you gone to your mom? And then he felt horrible. So I put him on the spot. I'm like, well, how many times have you talked to your mom and said, Mom, what do you need? I have all the stuff. What can I take off your plate? He goes, well, I figured she'd call me. I'm like, yeah, she's never going to call you. She's way too busy to pick up the phone and call you. And if she did, she may not be able to trust you with the level of detail that she has to communicate to you to make sure it gets done the way it needs to be done. So if that's not stored somewhere that's easily shareable, she's going to have to deal with that herself.
Oh man, that's John. That was wow. And are you talking about this? I'm thinking about your app because on your app, I noticed how you have all of that information that can be put in there.
Right.
Because one of the first thing that your family members say would to you when they want to know, like, how is your loved one, right? How is grandma? How is mom doing it? And you got to go and then you've had this long day.
Mhm.
You've done all this, you've been doing all these things, and now you have to explain to the members, the family members, how mom is doing, or dad is, uncle, auntie is doing. And it's like, I ain't in the mood to do all that. You don't want to do that. But your app, man, that's
Yeah.
it's on point because it allow everybody to be engaged.
And exactly, and you can send messages through. You can keep people updated, even if so. So we're
Yes.
doing a lot of these things. So where we're headed now that we have all this data is to be able to do daily reports, weekly reports. Is mom better this week than she was last week?
Yeah.
We're doing a AI that does a ANA comparison. Okay, so all the things you would do when you go to the doctor. Well, since we have your vitals, let's go through the vitals. How's she doing? What other tasks can we generate, and who can we delegate those tasks to? And do that. So we're using the AI model in unique ways,
Mhm.
not just to be able to see what data we have, but what data you might have on your phone that we can also search to make sure that, okay, you might have a schedule on your phone that you didn't share with us. But so we want to make sure we don't ask you to do something you possibly cannot do.
Right.
So think out of the box. Do a little bit extra effort, and that's more of the federated type of data management that you have to be very careful. We don't care what's on the calendar. We don't need to know the details. Just that you're busy. That's all we're interested in. And if that's blocked, then we can't ask you to do something. We just want to mark, okay, that's blocked. Don't put anything else. Keep that data. That's personal data for the user.
Mhm.
Protect that.
Right. Right. You know what? We're talking about this, and we kind of touching on this a little bit. But my next question is, how has your personal experience led to building Watch Our Own? So we know that the experience that you were going with, but what made you just feel like, man, like I need to create this?
It's the smartest person in the world I ever met. I was lucky enough to marry. Her name is Sherry. And I mean, in the 80s, I was building police systems, predictive analysis engines, and I was building banking systems. And
Hmm.
it was just all these multi-billion dollar environments in Fortune 100, 100s. And it was Vonage, built something in technology that nobody was doing. There was a myriad of startup companies, and even the fleet merger with Bank of America designed that whole environment for them.
Hmm.
So you're doing things at ridiculous levels, and then you see something like this, and she's looking at me going, "Why don't you just build it?" And when I saw someone, if I'm going to build it, I need to build it my way. And so I want to build something that has a family emergency response system, which is the patent that we own, and it's a full patent, not provisional. And it's got to be something that behaves to reduce the noise.
Hmm.
So we take all those years of pain, 35 years of building stuff and sitting as advisors, and taking companies where I come in as a change agent, like the last consulting that I did come in, the company's in disarray, get it to where it's actually working well, and then leave it with all the proper hooks. But build those services for families that when these things happen, you're no longer rational, you're emotional. And so the data, it's not just a matter of having access to the data, it's a matter of providing a flow that you're allowed to use this data in a way that makes sense and it's informative, but at the same time, it reduces all of that stress. And I'll give you an example, if I may, or unless you have another question.
No, oh my gosh, no, come on.
Okay, so for instance, let's say something happens. What is it that normally people start calling in? Somebody's going to call in 20 minutes later and say, okay, Tara, what happened? You're already 20 minutes into the event. You're already the one that's working with the person on the other side of the phone. You don't have the time to stop to tell this person what happened 20 minutes ago. That's just frustrating to you. You don't need that. You need to be focused helping the person. So the event engine, for instance, if my daughter, let's say for you and I are brothers, sisters,
Hmm.
and I'm a single dad, happens, it's the majority of where we're at today, right? With such high divorce rates. So this is what I mean by caregiving. It doesn't have to be an elderly. It could just be anybody.
Right.
But now you're helping me take care of my daughter.
Hmm.
Something happens, my daughter asks for help. The event triggers off. You get a notification. You jump in. You're the person in charge. Everybody who's jumping in gets every up to date down to the second of what's transpired. Okay, this happened. Tara jumped in. This location. This who's been notified. The following people have not responded yet. Tara opened up a 911 system. It's an open chat. There's a video call. There's all these things going on. They see everything. When we're done, we're forced them to say, okay, I got it. Then you join the group. Don't ask silly questions. Inform them before they step into the room.
Hmm.
Then once they're in there, you're the one person that's in charge is fine. But now I come in. I'm the primary caregiver to my daughter. The system recognizes that I have the relationship, and we have access control layers for that as well. So it's going to prompt me, Giancarlo, do you want to take over? Of course I'm going to take over. That's my daughter. You get a message, hey, your brother Giancarlo's taking over, and we switch roles, just like in a fire department. And both my sons are EMS, and my oldest is a fireman.
Mm-hmm.
If he's the level one, he can breach the house. But you're the lieutenant, you get to the site, he has to come back, bring you up to speed, and now you change roles, and
Oh,
you're telling him what you need him to do. And that you need to build that kind of solution for
mm,
the family because
right.
that's what they need. And if these are technologies that we and processes that we built into military environments, into fire departments, into emergency response systems, why aren't we using them for the family?
Makes so much sense, John. That's a lot. That was a lot of you having to pass all this information over and back
You
and
should
forth and
see
what's
the
going on.
fight that I get when I'm explaining to people why I wanted to build it. I wanted to build it like this. Like, oh, it's never going to get done. Oh, that's too hard. I'm like, well, if it was easy, anybody can do it. And then
Exactly.
that and you so that's why even the funding was self-funded because I knew we had to build something that people can use that we can build on and make it better and pivot it and do whatever we have to do to hit that niche of people and reduce that stress that I don't want anybody to have to go through what I did. But if I would have received the funds, then they would have driven the outcome, not the solution that I wanted to provide.
Exactly. And you knew the vision, all of that, you knew the experience and what you
Right.
felt and how you didn't want anyone else to feel. And so that's
Right.
huge. And that's why it's like one person says, the person who controls the money controls the outcome because
Yeah,
and
exactly.
that's true. That's true. When you do
So
it,
that's a hard bullet to bite when it's just myself and my wife and we're funding everything.
yeah.
That's why I do so much consulting work because that's what I use to pay to
Mhm.
Android developers, to iOS developers, backend developers, QA effort, and I build all the infrastructure and the architecture myself. So lucky enough, I have my best friend now joining me, so he's helping assist with all the infrastructure. But all of this I've been building for ever.
Wow. Wow. Kudos to you. Kudos to you for thinking of others too. That's huge. Thinking of what could you do to help someone else? Yeah. So that's awesome. Wow. So I think Silas has a question for you.
Shoot,
Well,
that's
Silas,
got
are you
silent.
there? Silas, are you there? Well, I don't know if Silas is there or not. I don't know what happened to Silas. I don't know if maybe he lost connection. Well, it says, how does the functionality and impact during emergencies work?
Right. Okay. So it's we use all open source systems and all our applications are built in microservices. What
Hmm.
that means is that, for instance, we have a notification engine that's
Okay.
completely one separate from anywhere else. The moment an event happens, it's all configurable, and you can say, "Look, I want to notify people, email, push, SMS. We want to do in-app notifications. So we want to light up the Christmas tree that something real is going on.
Hmm.
You're informed about it. You click on that message. It takes you to the event page. Now
Hmm.
you're connected. You're registered. You're engaged, and you can see everything that's going on. Who's in. Once you're inside, you can see the location not just of the person that the event is for,
Hmm.
the location of everybody, whether they're in the event or not.
Hmm.
In this case scenario, let's take my daughter again, right? And she's old now. She's going to college. Her car broke down, and so she opens up an event and maybe you didn't get the message. I got the message. I jump in, and you as my sister, I click on the location. I see, okay, Tara's 2 blocks away, but she didn't get the alarm, and you might have had the phone on silent.
Hmm.
I can call you through the app without ever having to leave the event engine and say, Tara, can you do me a favor? Jump onto the event. Ali's right. It's only 2 blocks. You'll see her. And you say, oh, sure. Sorry, you're going to jump onto the event. The moment you do, we see you activated. You see you start. Now we're changing if you're in the event, we're not looking at your location markers every 10 minutes. We're looking at your location marker every 2 minutes. So
Hmm.
she can literally see from which side of the block you're coming in. And we've tested this inside of malls so we can see in a mall
Uh-huh.
to see which side I'm approaching to see reduce the stress. Don't look that way. He's coming this way. And, so, and
Right.
she can literally see my icon every 2 minutes walking towards her. You should think outside of the box and do these things. So like the chat, all those, everything that happens in the event, including things like, okay, so your wife has beginning dementia and she's a gym rat, and she normally goes. What happens when the first stage is you start forgetting why you're even going somewhere? You forget where you are, so
Yeah.
you panic. You hit ask for help at that moment, even if you can't connect to anybody, we want the app to give you the option to say, show me the nearest police, emergency, and hospitals, places for safety that you can go
Right.
to. And you can click on it, it brings up the map, and then it takes you right to it. So you can just get there. We see what you're doing. We've noticed that you hit there. We can tell which one you're going to. We can meet you there.
Oh
And
my.
so you want to be able to provide all this. One of my advisors, he travels a lot, Caesar. a really wonderful guy. He goes, John, I'm always traveling, and sometimes I'm not familiar with the town, but I might take my wife. And if something happens, this is great for me because I can just look it up and say, I'll just open the event to be able to see exactly where I am and what's the nearest place we can go to get her help. And I was like, yeah, that's a great. I didn't think about that, but that's a great idea. And people are now realizing that these tools, because they have the ability to use them, they can use it for whatever other scenarios, which is really where you start having fun, right? This is where you provide enough hooks that people can think and do things slightly different. But
Exactly.
the other part of this is that everything that happens inside the event, we store. When you're done with the event and you close the event,
Mm-hmm.
we literally take the whole instance, we save it, and you can look it up. When you open it up, you have everything that's transpired, the whole log, who came in, okay, so Tara came in, Giancarlo took over, they open up a 911, look, there's a chat, let me look what happened in the chat. You can see all the conversation. And so imagine you get off a plane, right, and something happened. You
Yes.
see that there was an event. Well,
Mm-hmm.
the event could have been because somebody created a task that was critical. The person needs to take their insulin and they didn't take it, or they forgot to mark it. And if you mark that critical, that will generate an event. If you ask me to take mom to the doctor and it's a dialysis, and that's important that she's there on time, and I'm not there on time, it'll generate an event. If it creates the event, we're not tracking just her. You're tracking me, the person you requested the to take the task, because I'm the one that's driving. I'm responsible.
Right.
So you want to be able to know, where am I? Maybe he got stuck. Maybe I was in a car accident. I'm not unable to respond, but you can see where I am because I didn't hit the geofence of that location. And then now that's tied to the event, meaning, so if you go to the event, it says this event was generated by a test. You click on it, shows you the test detail of who was supposed to be doing it. You can reach out to them and say, Giancarlo, did you give mom this medicine? Yeah, I did, but I couldn't. The app wasn't working for me. The network was bad. Whatever the issue was, it's okay. Oh, no false alarm, but close it. But when you're looking at the history of the task, if you look at a task that was the generated event, you can click on that task, look at the corresponding event, go right to it, look at all the history, and now we're tying all this data into the AI model to say, okay, as a family, we don't do things like evaluate how well we perform. That's things that you do at work, right? You have managers that are going to evaluate you,
Mm-hmm.
and you have all these progressive disciplines approach and everything else. This is not about that. This is about how to use. Can the AI model look and see how we're working as a unit, as a functional unit? And remember, this is not a family anymore. This is your tribe. And what I mean by that is, as we get older, and some of the beta programs that we have, which was really interesting, is when we get older, the men and they're outliving us, they're making their own group. And so that's the group that they choose. They don't want to bother the kids. This is the group they choose to take care of them. And so that's essentially what they want to be able to use. They want to see, well, are there any areas of improvement? How could we have taken care of Mary better last week? And have the model say, okay, look, these are the things you probably should have done. You shouldn't have waited this much for this. You should have done the following with it. And we want that to be some formative and back and forth for the end user, so that it actually changes the way that they look at an incident, and not be so afraid of it, reduce the stress, and look to be more progressive on how to help others.
Wow, amazing, amazing. And I did see the comparison too of other apps on
Mm-hmm.
your site. And let me tell you, every single section for yours was yes, 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 yes. And so you offer all this free. And noticed that the other companies who did not even offer nowhere near all the stuff that you offer, and they were charging. So what's behind that as far as
Yeah, it's eventually the idea is we want to be able to have a model that anybody can use,
okay.
and we have to be real about the fact that a lot of the people who are becoming caregivers, they can't even afford that special coffee that they used to crave. That's just a fact. I had to leave a job in New York. And anybody who knows anything about New York salaries, especially as CTO, they're highly coveted. And you leave that to do startups, you're getting paid a third of that, and you feel the pinch. So the goal is to have the B2B be able to fund most of this, the health insurances, the employee benefit programs,
Yeah.
those services that like Medicaid, Medicare,
Yeah.
then we can tie in those higher features. Have the simple app that everybody can use, if need be, and if we have to charge like just enough for them to be able to use this, but without killing them. And then the additional features that the other companies can help subdivide, and pay to be able to keep this going.
Right.
This is not a plan for me to say, look, I'm gonna go buy myself a boat. I don't care about boats. I know I need to be able to leave something. I'm at that age. I need to leave something that I can put my name on. So that's really where we're headed.
Wow, that's awesome. I like that. Yeah, it's not about that. It's about helping people and
Yeah.
giving back. Of course, you're going to charge something because of to the maintenance and things of that nature, but it's not about all.
And I'm not being naive. I know I'm going to have
Yes,
to charge something eventually, but we're looking to charge for families with the minimum amount of features. We're talking about maybe $5 a month for a group of
right,
five people.
right.
If you look
Yeah,
at five people, $5 a month, you're talking $1 a month for a person. So because you're looking at four people are going to be required to be able to really help that one person.
right,
It's not going to be a one-on-one. If you're going to sit there and nickel and dime everybody, then you're not really providing a service. This is just a way of garnishing. And you look when we looked at a competitor, I was like, okay, $20 for this and for everybody else, an additional $5. I'm like, that's not something I want to follow.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. I don't blame you. Well, yeah, kudos to you for that.
I appreciate
So,
it.
yeah. So, how does the app help families organize caregiving tasks, schedules, and communication? Because I told you broke that down.
Yep.
So when it comes to like a task, so you're putting in a task. So I'm assigning me as a primary. I
Right.
assign, just say you to take
Right.
your mom's, to make the phone calls for mom. Mom needs a new
Right.
product and we need to find it. And I'm going to assign you to do that task.
Right. So now I get an immediate response. I get messages in my notification engine. When you see a pop up, we alarm the person that, hey, you have a notification. You look at it, it gives you the details of the task, who requested, what's it for. Instead of driving wherever, I say, okay, I accept it or I reject it. If I
Oh,
reject it, you get an immediate response that
mhm.
he can't do it. You have to be able to communicate. The application needs to be able to communicate to the requester, to the person that you're requesting the
Uh-huh.
task. If I accept it, immediately, if it's like for a location, it gives me a custom reminder. So
Mhm.
it's okay. How long do you need to know? This a scenario where you're asking me to take mom to the doctor. And I'm 30 minutes away from mom, and the doctor's 45 minutes. I want to set up a custom 2-hour reminder. Now, what that does is that locks the information locally on my phone. So even if I reboot my phone and my
Mhm.
application was never started, it's still going to stand up the app. It's going to look. It's going to say, look, you have a task that you accepted for 2 hours from now, and it's going to also look at your phone and say, did you enable your location? And if you didn't enable the location, it's going to remind you to enable it. Otherwise, nobody's going to know where you are. But if it did, you just proceed. Now I just go ahead and I continue. You get a notification that I initiated the task. So
Mhm.
you're over here working. You asked me to take mom, and you see that 2 hours before that, I kicked it off. You go, oh wow, okay, he's on his way. Good. You go back to doing your job. So now that communication is the part about people not needing to talk to each other, but letting the application know exactly what's going on. And if I get there and I close the task early, you're going to get a notification. The request is always going to get a notification from the person who did the job that is finished. If I didn't do it, then and you marked it critical, then that's when it create events. But if it did mark it critical, you can look to see, okay, this task is now delayed. It's past due. And you're going to see that in your daily review. So we put right in the very top all the tasks that are coming, the status and everything else. Just real time updates that are coming through the application. And as they change, we update them. You're going to see the real time, like a meter. You see the changes, the counters.
Oh, I love that. I love that. One of the things when I was looking at your site and looking at the app, I was thinking, okay, so an example, you have a dementia, a patient who has dementia or Alzheimer's, and they wander off. Now,
Mhm.
if they're wandering off, they have that phone on them. We will hope that they have that phone on them, and you can't find them now.
Right.
They're walking and take an old good walk. So
If they
what
took the phone,
happens?
if they took the phone, then you know where they are. You can see exactly where they went because if you put them missing, it's going to show you where they are. If they didn't take the phone, but
Mhm.
we've been tracking their locations for the last 30 days. This is where the AI model comes in. The AI model is going to look at the last 30 days worth of location. This is one of the protests we're wrapping up now. It's going to look at the last 30 days of that data, which is really simple to do. It's okay, Tuesday, 3 p.m. What would that be? Well, that will be at church or he will be at the park. Okay, Tara, what else is important? You want the AI model to tell you what other things is important about that we need to know. Well, that has asthma. It's 100 degrees outside. And by the way, it doesn't look like his insulin is behind. You're gonna go with the needle. I'm gonna go with the needle. We're both gonna look for the two places that you normally would go to. Because
Right,
when you have those things, you tend to go places that are repetitive, and you don't
right.
even know why you're going. It's your subconscious piece, that one piece that seems to be driving you crazy, but it's still for some reason you can still tap into it. And that's the kind of information that we want to be able to provide to the user. That's what's helpful. If he's not here, and he didn't leave his phone, where would he be? And it takes into all that account. But also it should be able to do it, and it's surprisingly simple to say, show me what the weather is in this town right now, and it's okay. It's 90 degrees, feels like 105. It's really humid. Your dad has asthma. You might want to take a Buterol with you. So now you're forearmed. You're not just running. You've been advised, and having that allows you before you get on the car to take the right tools with you. So either one of us who finds them can actually be proactive, even though we're in a reactive mode.
Now, how does that work? Okay, so it's on there. What about your watch though? Does it all? Because you know how you have an Apple Watch on, you have that
Yeah,
app.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Does it
we
allow
watch
you
the
to be
vitals.
able? No, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
no, 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 no. You're fine. You're finish the questions. I jumped too early. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, no. So I was saying, like on your watch, have you have your watch on, even though you may leave the phone. If you have your Apple Watch on, will it detect anything too? Like,
So there's do's and don'ts you can and cannot do with the watch. For instance, the watch is much more restricted than any application outside of Apple's own. In other words, if
okay,
you're running an application, you're running on a watch. If it's running in the background, there's nothing you can do about it.
oh, okay, okay.
Unlike a phone, which you can. So for instance, our location services, even if it's running in the background, it's still looking at your location services, still sending us data, and it's tracking it locally. It's also sending it to the backend system as an offline service. But
Okay.
what we can do, for instance, like if you do have your watch and you want to track the person's vitals, that information is being sent to your health kit on your phone real time. So we're literally picking up the when these events take place in the health kit,
Uh-huh.
it's opening up our app and say, hey, we got another data. Oh, look, there's your heart rate, there's the heart rate, and we can do those things. So now we're looking at opening up the rest of it because when we started this prototype, the FDA hadn't approved a lot of these things. My argument with my own guys was like, look, I don't care if the FDA approved it or not. I want to get the data because if the system tells me that my mom's blood pressure is 120 over 80, I know it's 110 over 70. Who cares? As long as it's giving me the consistent amount and
Mm-hmm.
it's always going to tell me 1 over 80, then what I'm interested in is the threshold. Did it go over 130 or did it go over 140? Where do I want it to alarm me and where do I want it to open up an event? And those are the kind of things that are really important. So having that data, being able to look at it in a graph too. So for instance, today's prototype that we have for that, and we build it to show that we can build it. We just need to be able to keep pushing the envelope.
Mm-hmm.
But you can wear a smartwatch, and like for instance, this is a very cheap smartwatch, and I can wear it. I can see my heart rate, and I can see it, during the day when I'm working out, when I'm watching a funny movie, and my heart rate
Mm-hmm.
goes up, or a scary movie, and you can see the effect. And that's the kind of stuff that you really want to know about that one person.
Yeah.
Let's say, for instance, you have an event that says, fall detection. Okay, we monitor that through the phone. But
Yes.
now you have a secondary event that in the same event, we don't create multiple events, but if one's open, it creates sub events inside of it. So it keeps you focused on that. It says, hey, mom's heart rate just dropped. Now what happens? You get an alarm. This is if she fell. It could have been false alarm, but the secondary one says her heart rate's dropped.
Mm.
Now it's drop everything and run. Now you're calling 911. You're sending them the address. You tell them to kick the door in. I mean that now you have a reason for panic. This is where the data and having those correlated incidents and be able to do something intelligent with it makes all the difference.
Yeah, it does. Every second counts.
Yep.
Every second counts. Wow. Yeah, that's great. That's real good. I love it. So what is about the privacy and security and safeguards for protect the sensitive data?
Right. Yep. We're HIPAA compliant. We've gone through the whole testing, but more importantly, we created the same access control layers that I normally build for banking systems or
Mm-hmm.
police departments. You don't need to allow people to see anything about yourself. You don't need to allow anybody to see anything about that person you're taking care of. Just
Right.
because you're connected to you, I might be connected to, for instance, if you and I were brother sisters, right, and you're helping me raise my daughter, but my wife, she says, this is cool. You have Tara, we're connected. She can help, but I'm private, and your husband's private, and you guys want to be able to have your own privacy.
Mm-hmm.
And during an event, if something happens to my wife and you're the one helping her, you're going to have that access because it's more important you have the access to communicate it. But if nothing's going on, why are you picking around what medicine she's taking and if
Right.
she's doing this and what other? So that's nobody's business.
Mm-hmm.
But also because it is HIPAA compliant, now we're getting doctors that want to be able to connect with us. So look, that's fine, but it's not your data; it's the person's data. So if they want to share that with you, that's on them, and they would allow you to be connected to them, and then you would have whatever access layer they enable for you. So that we need that to be something that people need to understand. That's something. That's why right now we're being approached by companies for clinical trials because that data is there, and they can assign the application to somebody that's in a remote area with the medicine. Hey, here's all the tests you have to do. We need to make sure you're doing it. You have to take the vitals down because we're going to remotely monitor them, and do that kind of stuff. And it actually fits that model. You would that was not what we built it for, but I'm glad it's helpful. But that's sort of the security guardrails. I mean, we're in the conversation we had before about AI. These are guardrails, regardless of what it is you're building. There's data. The data is PIs, it's private information, right? It may not be PII, or it may not be anything else, but it's sensitive to you. Then you have a right to protect that and the application needs to be able to enforce it. We also don't sell and we don't share your data. There's too many companies that make way too much money doing that. That's their problem. We're not going to do that. So that's the way we look at it. Is if we can generate enough income to run our business, your data is your own. And everybody's telling me how valuable it is, and that's great. But it's more valuable to the consumer and the person they're taking care of than anything that I can sell it for.
Right. Exactly. That's good too. It's good. It's HIPAA compliant. So you're protected there. You people out there who's listening, it is protected. Your data is protected. So
Protect.
what's next for the app, and is it available on all phones?
It's available. It's 100% available on the iOS. It's been available on the iOS. The Android is going to be. It's about a month and a half behind, mainly because of the fact that when I came back and I had to redo all the UX. So we're a little behind on that one. But you figure about 2 months out, Android will be up to par. Obviously, since we're pushing the iOS and we're putting new releases with the AI model, and we just completely revamped the entire event look and feel, which will be coming out now in production in about a week or so, because the guys are just doing the final testing, and so it's going to look much more active. So instead of the event looking the way it does now, it's much bigger page. It's easy to understand, and the models are much more active in being able to slash up, pull up a sheet, and click on more information and act on it. But so the Android is following its tail.
Wow, I love it. I love it. I'm excited. Well, I am excited to see it. It looks good already, you know. So, but I'm
I
excited to see
appreciate it.
what's next on it. So I think Silas has come back. I don't know.
Yeah, he had a question, but then we lost him.
Yeah, Silas, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, but I can't.
We can hear
It's
you good.
it's like it's not showing me the. It's like I don't know, the mic icon is not working.
Oh, that's okay. Well, we can hear you, so you're good.
So yeah, so essentially like because I was trying to make sure my audio was working. It was working earlier, but essentially like so from like a scaling perspective, like because this is a very good machine, it's a very good device where pretty much it integrates with phones and watches. Have you ever like what's like the next step you think, like just in like for example, like because there was like for example our last podcast we had, it was something dealing with like when that problem does occur, a lot of times the doctors and the first responders, they don't really have all the information, and of course if you're in a situation where you're trying to save you're trying to give CPR to the person or whatever it
Yep.
is, a lot of times they're not able to communicate that information. So with this particular device, does it communicate with the first responders like in real time, like when something
Yes,
jumps
yes.
off?
No, that's a great question. So the application during an event has the ability to provide 911 access to our portal, and you can give them the token real time. And when the moment that they connect to the website, there's a portal for 911 folks, and you have to communicate that access code to them. They get in. That's a first stage one access. So we simulated an early system with this secondary wave that we're developing, so it's more dynamic. We track when the 911 officer is on the system looking at that information. So they would have access to everything. That's today. If you go in through the portal, they would have access to that person's entire bio history, medicine history, what they look like. If you put the face pictures front, side, even covered, like COVID, you might have a mask to be able to recognize this person. If there's been an incident, let's say a bus fall over and there's more than one person injured and they need to identify this resource, or they might be missing what do they look like. All of that's there through the portal. We also had a QR code, and these are things that we've had to pull out of the app because the UX was so busy that the feedback we got was like it's too much. So we had to pull a lot of the feedback, a lot of the stuff out of it, and now we're slowly reintroducing it. So one of those was like a QR code that if somebody comes in and scans your QR code, and you can show that while the phone is closed, you can enable it for them. They can scan it, they can open it themselves. If they do that, you're going to get a request that somebody's trying to access your mom's info. If you're on the phone with 911 and they say, well, we have somebody inside that's trying to access that phone, you get the request, you approve it. If you approve it, then they immediately have access to all the information. And the reason why that's critical is because both my boys being an EMS, one of the things that my oldest one, Daniel, who said, look, Dad, we get to somebody, and if the vitals are low, and it might be normal for them, this person could be a very low heart rate, it could be a very low blood pressure. That's normal. But now they come in, and the person is not conscious, speak for themselves, they think they're crashing. And this is where you get into a lot of danger, right? Where they over-medicate, they overstimulate. And where there's over 300,000 deaths a year because of wrong type of medication administer. So we don't want to. We want to be able to give something access to that. So that's one of the features that we had that we have to put back in. The portal for the 911 in the event is there today, so that's active. And the one that we're building for that's going to be a lot more advanced. It's much more dynamic between the two responders. Where the person will be able to come in and then see who are the people that have an open 911 in that area that they called, and be able to select and say, okay, this one, when they click on it, since you're with them, you can talk to them. So it's something I have, something I know, right? The person's name on the other side of the phone who's now trying to connect and get access to your system, and you approving it, and then we log all of that. So at the end of the event, you can see what time did the officer actually connect and be able to have access to that person's information. This is imagine this now for insurance health companies to say, well, how fast can they really give that information? Because if today's systems require that you go to a third party that's going to read off a script, where you can already communicate all information because you have access to it real time on your phone, but you provide that information to the 911 responder and allow them to have that access for them to understand what's critical data, what's not critical data, instead of you having to communicate them while you're having that stressful moment.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, because that's one thing I was thinking about. Is like, you hear about all the bad outcomes, like you were talking about how when they go into a situation, they don't really have all the information, then they can like accidentally over medicate them or overstimulate them. And so it's like when you have this information that's easy, readily available with
exactly.
Then now it doesn't. You can have actually a lot better outcomes, like 100%.
100%.
Yeah, 100%.
You give the right medication based on the right information that's available, and having that data available to somebody who's an expert in the field and knows what to do. But if they don't have the info, they're crippled as much as the person they're trying to help.
Yeah,
and we have to get rid of that problem. So that's the other piece of that was the one that we have with the QR code. So we want to reintroduce that. And we had the features already there. We also had the feature to be able to store your living will, your do not resuscitate clause, and so we had to take those out because there was not the flow, and being able to introduce this, it started to be a little confusing. So we went through multiple betas, and the betas, when we show the features by their own, people are like, oh, this is great. And so that's fine. Do me a favor, we're going to put you on a test flight, download it, and try to use it. And they go, wait, I can't find that feature. That's a problem. That's you say, okay, what are the features that they really need? We start putting some of the other ones out. They're still there. The code's already been written, and that we've already tested them ad nauseum. Now we just have to slowly start introducing them. So for us, we just changed our whole dashboard 2 months ago from what it used to be, so we can introduce AI cleanly, and we can introduce some of these additional features and be able to provide that outcome for our users to know that there's a vault, all that data is in there. But it's not enough about whether you have the data for that person. More importantly, one of the things that we were asked by the first responder was like, where is that document? Because if we're in the house and you're telling me that the do not resuscitate is stuck on the side of the refrigerator, they're going to grab it. So they're going to grab it and they're going to go with the patient. They're going to hand that right into the hospital so that they know if something happens, here's the document, the legal document that says how this person wants to be treated, and allow them to go the way that they wish to go. So you need to be able to provide all of that in real time. So that's part of the features now that we're catching up, and we've cleaned this whole UX that we can reintroduce a lot of these things we already built. And what's cool about this is with the change of technology, does not require that we have to reinvent the wheel. So in other words, you scan a document, you take that, you can run the built-in OCR libraries on iOS and Android to read the verbiage, see if there's anything, and then duplicate the document, but also interpret the document for that person, what it really means. And go a little further. Take a medicine, snap on that medicine. Ask the person, do you want to know the long-term effects of that medicine? Do you want to know what to do and not to do with that medicine? And people just don't know. And the doctors that we talk to, they say, we don't have that kind of time. We have 5 minutes with our clients. We don't know that. And so, for instance, people who are on Nexium, and Nexium is something you should not be for very long. And I'm speaking out of experience because somebody very near to me was on it for 10 years. And when I told medical people that she was on it for 10 years, they kind of wigged out a little bit. And there's reasons why you shouldn't be, but nobody ever tells you why. Now you know because the AI model does a research. But this is the conversation we were having before. The research has to be very clear on which sites you're allowing the AI model to go investigate. So there are very well vetted systems out there that tell you these are the long-term effects of medicine that have been verified by professionals, not me. And
Yes.
those are the ones that you want the AI model to look at. Ignore everything else. The rest is just hallucinations. Get rid of that. Only tell me the stuff that I know has been vetted by the World Health Council and those groups. So that's the information that we need to provide to our users. So this is where we're headed with all this tech. So we've already built a lot of these things. Now we're reintroducing it back into the app.
And then another thing too is like, and this is something I wanted to ask earlier, but my mic, something happened with my mic. But um, like based on like your experience, like where you came from, right, and the origins of building systems for banks and the security systems, is wouldn't like why don't you think like because like this idea that you have and this platform you pretty much built is something that has been a need for a very, very long time. And one of the things I always wonder is like, well, why? Because this just sounds like what you've done is just sounds like just basic common sense stuff that
It is.
the
There's nothing genius about this.
yeah, it's like it's very it just common sense, really easy. I mean, of course, putting it together is very complicated with the coding and everything. But once you get once you get past that barrier, it's like, yeah, this is common sense stuff. And I always wonder why haven't anyone before you has come up with this particular this platform and this software where it just makes things a lot easier.
It's the I think there's two things, right? Perception is reality, and never underestimate the power of denial. So you look at like the conversation we're having where I was speaking to a gentleman in Canada. He says we don't have that problem with caregivers here. And as soon as I asked him, "You sure?" and he realized his mom was the one that was caregiver to his sister. He just said, if you're walking up to that person, you say this is what you're building, they're gonna look at you like you have two heads. Why would you God would you do that? There's better things you could be doing. Why don't you build a lift, another Uber, something? This is where their head's at. And the other part of this is that for the folks that are trying to do this, the folks that know this pain, the people I've met in the last 6 months of talking to folks like yourself, they don't have access to the IT at this level. I can walk you through pretty much anything you want to know when we start about networking, cybersecurity, infrastructure, code development, data applications, data architecture. I've been doing this for 35 years. 90% of the folks today that you're going to talk to in IT are folks who are going to spend 9 to 10 months writing code, and they want to tell you, oh, I can terraform this and I can terraform that, and I realize that these are still limited platforms with architecture. They don't even understand what they're rolling out. So it's the right place, the right time, and with the right group. And the folks that I surround myself are not the people who say, why are we doing this? Or this is hard. The moment they start saying that, it's like, well, look, I've been doing martial arts most of my life. And in martial arts, somebody comes in, is it the student that's walking in that wants to show you what they can do? Is it the student that regardless how effective he was a D1 wrestler or a really good boxer, but now he wants to learn Muay Thai, right? He's gonna put those on the shelf. He wants to learn your style. And he's putting himself in the right place, the right time for him to actually do something progressive.
Mm-hmm.
We were lucky enough that I guess I'm lucky as well because I went through it, but I have that experience in all these different technologies, been building weird one-offs, like in Vonage building the 911 systems or the eavesdropper for the federal government for VoIP systems. That was a
Mm-hmm.
one-off. You have to think out of the box. So I'm pretty familiar with building things using open source and scalable, secure, and being completely out of the box. And I think that's what really helped me come up and say, well, why wouldn't I do this? I've met so many people with similar wanting, but they didn't understand that this technology was there, or the people that they were trying to hire to build it for them did not have the capability, but easily took the money, and a lot of them are now broke. and it's one of the things that's been the most painful to watch. So the most ridiculously nice people I've met in the last 6 months, that their dreams have been crushed because people are coming in and they're just taking advantage of them. And we all know this is happening. This is nothing new. There's a lady who's going to be one of our advisors, and she's somebody who's downright brilliant. And one of the things I told her was, look, as soon as I get this off the ground, I want to build her solution, and I'm doing it as a freebie. I just want to make sure that what she has in her mind is so powerful, and that she just hasn't been able to find somebody to build it. And now she's seen what I built in here. I want to build that for her. So you start building that ecosystem where you look at things like it's no longer a wheel anymore, separate little wheels inside the cogs,
Yeah.
and each one is taken off. And one thing might be a little loose here, another one be a loose, but the momentum's still going. This is where really you build that fusion mentality, right? Where you just start
Yeah.
building, but you have to surround yourself where people also keep
With
you.
the right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's this is probably why we're here now,
Mhm.
and it's and I take everything as a fight. So when somebody says I can't do anything, I go, oh, I must be in the right track then. So
Yeah.
There you go. That's
you
good.
know, it's very easy to put people down, and it's very easy for people who and you've heard this from a lot of those successful people. I'm not successful. I enjoy what I've done, but you can see a lot of the folks who are done much better than I have, and they tell you get rid of negativity. So there's too much of that, especially in this world, especially when it comes to things like that, because they're not easy to build.
Yeah.
So
Very complicated. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And if anybody's ever built a house, I give you the same scenario there. Anybody can build a house, but did you build a house that you could have separate waste gates for your water feed and your power concession? You have your breakout panels so you can do different things around the house. Did you build it with that in mind, or did you just build a house, right? And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
there you go. And that costs a little more money. That costs a little more time. But
Yeah.
now you build something that you go, that this house is going to last 100 years, and I'll be gone, and my daughter's going to be able to live a good life, and then I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
That's what I want to build.
And that's it. And that's amazing too, because like that kind of goes back to even when I think about just like just on a broader term, like when I think about like even like you look at concepts like Amazon, right, or like Jeff Bezos, he came in at the right time where
Yeah.
The internet was just starting to kind of gain some traction, and he was able to, build something. And now look at it now, right? So same thing here with your system is this is a pivotal moment because right now what I see is you start seeing the shift in the market. You're starting to see a shift. People are starting to become more conscious, more health conscious now. I think after the pandemic is everyone's kind of more in tune to some type of,
100%.
to their health to a certain degree. And I just think because of all those shifts, even also towards like now people don't want to go to those facilities anymore. They want to have all the tools they can at home. And so going to your system, right, like this is going to be just all in one system on the digital level where it just makes everything easier, like communication with doctors, data, everything, to where a client doesn't really have to necessarily leave their home anymore.
But I need to correct you on one thing, Salas, and this is more of a touch point for me. When the people talk about the Jeff Bezos and they talk this, they forget that it was his wife that was helping him build that company from the beginning. They forget that he had a heck of a partner throughout their whole trip. I have that. I have the most amazing partner in the world, and I wouldn't be able to do this if I didn't have her. And I have some of the coolest people working with me. So the one gentleman that's working with me for 9 years, Peter Baradich, he's still in the group. He's still working with me, and we're doing Aegis Tech. My best friend that's come back. It's people like that no matter what, never leave you. And that's my tribe. This is what you need. So when somebody says, John, when you build it's great, I'm like, that's nice. What we built is better. And so I don't believe in taking the credit for I built it. Yeah, it might have been my idea, and I might have pushed everybody to do it to the minimum requirement that I have in my head. Okay, I'll take the blame for that, but it would not have been possible without any of these people.
Wow, it takes a team.
Yeah, it takes
Yeah.
It takes a village.
It takes a tribe to take care of somebody. Sometimes it takes a whole bunch of people to elevate the mass, and that's what you do. And everybody needs to go up. We can go if you go up even slowly as a group, you're gonna go way faster than you can go by yourself. What did you do for the rest?
100%. You're so right on that. That's like even just when you look at just regular company operations, like if you have a team of people doing hitting this task, hitting that task all at the same time, you'll just surpass
Yeah.
very quickly versus like, oh, I got one person doing 10 different things.
Yeah, yeah. No, I worked at a company where I got an award for the most impact, and it was funny because they asked me to take a picture of me. I'm like, yeah, sure. It'll be outside the building, and I brought my entire team, and we had 27 guys, and you can tell where the heck I was. I wasn't the tallest guy, so I was barely you could see where I was, and they had to put an arrow where I was standing in because they said, well, here's Giancarlo. He just got this impact award, and I'm like, yeah, but this is my team.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
think I can do it by myself? Everybody else that we saw in the magazine were laughing because everybody's saying, well, what makes me special? What makes me important? And I'm going, wow, you missed the boat. Nobody would have noticed you if you didn't have the folks around you would not have been there when you needed them. But this was your chance to get back, and you blew it.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I hate that. I look at that. I'm like, man, I love it when you see it in fighting and you see the guy turn around and he takes his belt off and he gives it to his coach or to that person. I'm like, oh man, that's an emotional moment. That's cool. And then the other guy is just talking about, well, I know I'm the best. I'm like, oh, okay. I have no patience for that.
Yeah.
So yeah. So as yeah, we could say those names, but to me, I never forget the fact that his wife was there with him, and it does take that team spirit to be able to get something done, and she did work alongside with him and help support him throughout the whole trip. People just easily forget and go, oh, she got $500,000. She was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
right.
There you go. You see a
And
lot of that.
just for the clarity,
Yeah.
I made sure my wife owns the majority of the company.
All right. That's what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
John.
Yeah.
That's good. Because,
Right. That's the
like,
right thing to do too.
yeah.
Hey, she can put up with me. She deserves it.
That
Yeah.
is good. That's real good. Yeah, I like that. Give the respect where respect is due, and don't leave her out the picture because it. And I hate to say this, but us women.
Watch out, Silas. You're gonna get
tell,
hit.
tell her I said kudos.
Yeah.
Oh no. In fighting, we used to tell our fighters all the time, says dance with the girl you brought to the party.
Yay, that's
So what are
right.
you doing? And so why you listening to this guy about how you're gonna beat this fight? It's your entire team that got you this far.
Yeah.
Keep listening to them.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense too. Because that's like even in sports, like sports is a very good example of this. You get players where even like you look at somebody like Jordan, like he didn't, we say his name, everyone's oh Jordan, Jordan, but it's like he didn't win those championships by himself. He
Yeah,
he needed a team around him,
yeah,
and a
absolutely.
lot of times you have to have the right team around you to win. No
Yeah.
matter how good you are individually. So that's
Mhm.
very valid.
Because they have to see
Absolutely.
the vision and believe in it. So I assume that the great team that you have around you understand what
One
you're
mind.
doing and the compassion that you
Yeah.
have about this app because of what you've done, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
And a caretaker
to
your
be honest with you,
son.
Tara, what's funny, and this is not just this company. Every company I go in and I come in as a CTO or CIO, it's
Mhm.
really easy to see in the first couple of weeks who are the people who are just hanging out, and who are the people that are frustrated because they want to make change.
Right.
And once you start identifying these folks and you start getting rid of the negative in the group and you start promoting within, forget
Right.
bringing people from outside all the time. If you have that, invest, train them, put your own sweat and tears into them. They've already done their due diligence, recognize it and give it back. And then once you start doing that, you start watching them. It's just a different energy. I have a frame behind me when I left Netherlands after 3 years there, and all the people taking their pictures and they call it the end of an era. And I still look at that every day, and I go, I must have done something right because I still connect to every single one of them, and that's what makes it cool. And this is a third party company that
Hmm.
I went to clean up. We were responsible for 18 countries, but it was that team. We went from 64 people to 27 people, and everything got automated. Everything worked well. We could actually go out and have fun after work. That you had
Wow.
that window, and you didn't
Yeah.
mind seeing people after work hours because these were the people that you could count on during the work hours.
Right.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
It matters. It
And it was
definitely
still
matters.
somebody else's company. It didn't matter.
Right.
Wow.
Right. Wow. That just shows the type of person you are and the character that
It's the
you
type
have.
of people you gotta surround myself with. Don't kid yourself. I'm just very greedy with surrounding myself with people like that. And then when I find them, I
Mhm.
don't let them go.
That's right. That's right. I love that, John. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great team
Awesome.
building and character and leadership. That's what we're talking about. That is so
Yeah.
awesome. So, if you're tuned in today, you're listening to the Medical Equipment World and Healthcare Get the Scoop. sponsored by CFS Medical Supplies and Equipment and CFS Solutions. And we're talking to the wonderful John. I'm not going to mess up his last name.
You guys have been wonderful. This has been fun.
No, we're not. So Silas got about two more questions to ask you, John, and then we're
Oh,
gonna get
okay.
off. And
Damn, I should have run.
Yeah, so the last two questions, I'll just jump into one. Is well, so the first half of it is, what advice would you share? So basically talking about, yeah, everyone has someone they're caring for right now. What advice would you share with them? And then the second half of the question was like, final thoughts on how listeners can try or support, pretty much like how your system and everything, like seeing the vision, where you're going, and really just kind of see like this particular app can just make everything completely easy, for everyone's lives.
So the first question you were saying, what advice I could give them? There's people I've met after the incident, after I went through that whole ordeal. And I'll give you one person. Her name is Sabina Macalina. She's out of Hawaii. She runs her own podcast. There's a couple other folks in there as well. There's Diane Carbo,
yes, the wonderful
Isabel
Diane.
Margarejo. And then one of the things that they'll tell you is learn to say no. Learn to protect yourself. Because one of the things that will happen is that when you get hit in this spot, you don't say no, you just do, and you react, and you see yourself as being, it's an honorable position to be the caregiver to somebody. Let's not kid ourselves. You're in that one position where that person can depend on you, and it is a wonderful back and forth between you and that person, but you have to know when to say no sometimes to the family, to the other people, and say, no, you really need to do this. You need to take this from my hand. And you have to be able to do that. And I didn't. And when you talk to Sabina, you talk to Dan Carver, you talk to these folks that tell you, no, this is stuff that they tell their listeners. And I plug them every chance I can because they're spot on. So that's one of the things that I would tell them. Look, don't lose yourself. You have to still make time for the things that define you as a human being. The moment you stop doing that, you become the next victim. And everybody thinks we're strong, and I can outlive most 18-year-old, even though I'm turning 65. Doesn't matter. You're still a carbon-based deposit, and these things will affect you, and emotional stress is your number one killer. But what was the other question you were saying before? Silas? That was the first question.
Yeah, the second question was, it says final thoughts, on yeah, pretty much like just any like final words, final thoughts that you have, that you want the listeners to know.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I mean, please, if you can use the application, one of the things that we ask for is provide feedback. So we've had a lot of great feedback. One gentleman used the application. He said, John, this is great, but I need a secondary caregiver. So we built him a secondary caregiver. That ability is out there. Somebody else says, hey, we need. What about somebody who doesn't have a phone? Can we have a virtual user? Yep. Now you have a virtual user. And as we get into feedback and how people are using it, the price is just going to keep getting better. But that doesn't mean we're pivoting. We're still hitting the same niche. We're just building a better car with the inside of the cars the way the majority of the people doing it, and it allows us to build the type of skills, the feature sets that we're hearing our customers they're more interested. If somebody wants to put themselves out there and they want to build something like this, the one thing I would advise them is, please don't think you have the answer. Don't surround yourself with the naysayers, but create that profile that you want to do. Start talking to folks, show them what you're thinking about doing, have them get positive feedback. If the first thing they ask is why are you doing this, move on. But talk to the folks that are in that pain level, say, well, this is what I would have needed, and start getting that really valuable data, regardless of what feature you're building, whatever solution you're trying to do. Be open to the feedback that you're going to get, because that is critical. That's the first thing we wanted to do is put ourselves out there and look for that information. And now what we're getting more is it's really cool. But what people don't hear is the fact that when we first started, people were like, I can't find anything. I saw the features. I can't use this. And that's not a reason to quit. Pack up your bags. It's a reason to say, hey, but they like these features. Listen to what they're actually telling you. They like what we built. We're just not doing a good job providing the entire service. Let's fix that and keep fixing it until you provide something you can be proud of.
Right. And that's with
Makes sense.
anything too. I think that in life, when you're building things, it
Oh
could be
yeah.
anything, a business, anything, you have to figure out what's working and what's not. And you get the feedback from the consumer, right? To find out where you are, what you're doing,
It's a
what's needed, what's
relationship.
missing, those
Yeah.
relationships, those asking questions, that community, and you
Yeah.
figure it out, and then people help you figure it out, and then you're able to bring something that's of value to solve a
Spot on,
problem.
Tara. And I would preach this to my two boys when they were 4 years old. What is the first sign of intelligence? And they go, oh, to be able to do this. And I know. Ability to listen.
Yeah.
Because if you're not listening, you can hear, but you're not really listening, then you're interpreting. You're trying to tell somebody an answer, but you didn't quite pick up what they were trying to communicate with you. There
Hmm.
were more than just words. There were emotions in there. Did you pick up on that? Did you look at them when they were talking to you? Were you looking at your phone? Were you 100% engaged? And so when you're dealing with your customers and you're doing this, they're coming from a source of pain.
Yes.
So, and that's the first thing that you should be crossing your mind.
Yep.
The profile of the person that we're doing this for, somebody who just cannot take one more negative, then cannot deal with one more thing that's going to be another monumental hill. It has to speak to them. They have to be able to, and they have to be able to tell you, look, I get it, but for me to be able to use this, I need this. And see if you can accommodate. You're not going to make 100% everybody, but you want to make it so at least if some things are not 100%, it's good enough for them to be able to use it in a manner they can get used to, right?
So true. That is so true. And that's one of the things that we focus a lot on is clinical assessments.
Right,
And because some people think like, oh, you just sell products. And I keep telling people like, no, we don't just sell products.
right,
We sell information and we want people to be comfortable. We do analysis, clinical assessment to figure out what your problem is. We
right,
want to know the pain point that you or your loved one is having. And
right.
then we try to figure it out and then we can provide you a product. But we don't classify ourselves as a DME company or an HME company. No, we are a provider of services and resources, and then we just try to solve a problem.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's
That's
technically what
that's
it
the key.
is. Yeah.
That's the key. Yeah, and putting yourself in such a position, you're going to get a lot of feedback that's going to be good. You're going to get feedback where
Yeah.
you don't understand
Yeah.
where you could have been making this much more money.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's not what that was never your goal. Your goal was to be able to pull a product that when your eyes are closed for the last time, you
Right.
have no regrets. And that's the way I look at it.
That is so true. Oh, John, that's a good one right there. That is so true. Like just
My son actually tattooed that on his arm. Live your last moment. That's the one thing you want to remember. And
ah,
so, like, if it was live like it's the last thing day on earth, that's the last thing where you're gonna do it sloppy or you're gonna do it right.
yeah. Yeah.
So,
That's
and
it.
and he literally tattooed it across his whole forearm.
Wow, that was good. That's good because
Yeah.
that, you know what? And then you have to look at that and say, what deed did I do today? He can look down,
Yeah, and there he is.
right?
He's breaking down people's doors, and he's part of the emergency rescue group, and he's doing all that stuff. And
Huh?
he's an adrenaline junkie, but he's doing it for the right reason.
You know what? Well, hey, what adrenaline can you get when you're servicing and helping people? It gives you, there's a feeling that you get that you can't even explain when
Yeah.
you're helping someone.
But sadly enough, it's one of those areas where it's not compensated well enough. And if you're gonna make a change somewhere, we need to make a change there. I mean, these people are doing EMS, they're working for free. Should not be doing this for free.
Yeah.
They should be getting compensated, medical benefits and stuff like that. There's enough money going around that we're exploiting for everywhere else, but we're not taking care of our own people this way. And that's just embarrassing.
It is. It is. And that's what make you wonder, like, what happened to
Hmm.
the care of taking care of the people who was taking care of others?
Yeah, yeah, and it's funny because one of the things Danny will tell me is how all the police officers are so protective about the EMS. Well, yeah, because when they get shot or stabbed, those are the guys who will do whatever they have to do to help that officer down, right? Or
Yeah.
whoever it is, the victim, it doesn't matter. To
Yeah.
them, it's just a wound I need to heal. And it's a beautiful thing, but a lot of them are still doing it for free, and they've been doing it for free for over decades, and that just breaks your heart. That's the kind of stuff you go. That's a problem that if I could, I would love to invest some thoughts into. Let's fix that next.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Definitely.
that's
Mm.
interesting that all the essentials are not well compensated. Is interesting. Like yeah, the first responders, teachers, things of that nature. It's like
I was going to bring up teachers. You're absolutely right, and
Yeah.
I'm to tell you when there was a superintendent for half of the state, or one principal, not three principals with a bunch of secretaries. Like the money was spent different. The teachers haven't really received any raises. That's a whole different conversation. But
Yeah.
we have to align ourselves to what's going to make this. I don't want to hear anymore that Americans are stupid compared to the rest of the world. It's a simple fix. If our educational system is so poor, then show me the top three and just copy it and let's enforce it here. But stop complaining about the fact that we need to bring everybody from other places, because I'm from somewhere else too. I'm a foreigner coming into this country. I'm very grateful to this country, and I literally sign up to anything. That's why I do stuff for free half the time for us, because I want to be here. But you have to make sure that when we're doing things, that they have to be aligned with the folks that are committed to what we're doing in this country, not outside of it. So we take care of your teachers, take care of the folks like this. If you want them to do better, don't mess up the school system. Give them the educational tools that they need to be able to bring our children up the right way, and then you're going to see all the scores change. We don't have to worry about the rest of the world. We'll go right back to building the smartest people right here.
There you go. You heard it right here. You heard it on the medical equipment world.
Now we're fixing the world. You may want to edit that last part out, Tara. I don't know.
I don't know, John. We got to. Hey, I tell you, we just have conversation on here.
No,
I'm not trying to offend people. We're just trying to give people resources and information, and hopefully that somebody can take something away that's going to be a blessing to themselves and to their loved ones. And that's what we do here. And so we want to thank you again, John, for spending your time. I know we went way over. We always say it's going to be quick, and it's never quick. But when you have people that love what they do, and we're just passionate about what we're talking about giving back to people and helping people with resources and information, there's no timeline for that.
Yes.
No, you're right. And you guys are very easy to talk to as well. So I'm very honored to be here.
Oh, thank you. Well, you know what, John? You got to come back because I need to know and see the next level of the app.
Well, hopefully with the calls I've had this week, if things take off, I'm hoping they do, we're going to have some very interesting follow-ups.
Yeah. Oh, they will. They will. We're putting it out in the atmosphere right now. It will. So, John, tell people how they can reach you.
I'm accessible. Well, you have my email contact. You'll be welcome to suggest Giancarlo at watchourown.com. But also through the website, we if you sign up or you ask a question that comes directly to me, so I see all the correspondence. So, for instance, I noticed that you connected to the website today. I got the ping on that, and I get those alerts, and I take a look at it, and I know I don't go to bed until I see everything that's going through.
Wow, we love it. We love it. So audience out there, just know that on our website, www.cfsmedicalequipment.com and cfssolutionsdbs.com, you will be able to connect with John and get his information, and we'll make it accessible. Also, you'll be able to listen to this interview. And if you have any questions for John, please go into his website, send him a message, and he will definitely reach back out to you. So thank you guys for listening today. Until we meet again. Have a good night, John. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.